Okay. Welcome to the Elite Performance Team podcast. Dominic Perlo and Dr. Jan Kaskowitz produce podcasts weekly with information in health and wellness, as well as guests on our podcast. If this is your first time listening, thanks for listening. If you like our content, you can find more information on Facebook or subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes. Today, we've changed it up a little bit, Doc, right?
Yes, we have.
We are in a remote location. We are at Submit to Fitness in Secaucus, New Jersey. Today we have John Rodriguez. John is a kettlebell and mace instructor. John, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I was born in Cuba, and we moved a lot when we came to the States. We moved a lot until I permanently resided here in New Jersey. Fast forward, I never really got into fitness till I was in my mid-20s. Before that, I did a lot of skateboarding, and that was the only form of exercise I had, was just skateboarding, and I was really good at it. But at that one point where it was time for me to become an adult, go to school, go to college, get a job type of stuff, so I had stopped skating for a while, and that's when I started gaining a lot of weight, had a lot of physical ailments and pain and all that stuff, and and then one day I decided to make a change and wanted to do something better for my life. So I started doing just like basic bodybuilding stuff, reading magazines. I know the typical stuff that you would normally do. And my wife had said to me once, hey, if you're so into fitness, why don't you become a trainer? So I took her advice, and the next day I had found a school a couple towns down, NPTI, or National Personal Training Institute. And within maybe a week or two, I was already in class getting it done. So, and then here I am today.
That's awesome. When we do podcasts, we start with a quote of the day. So today's quote: once you see results, it becomes an addiction. Doc, what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's great. It actually plays off of something we were talking about the other day too, where it's going to take a little bit of time. So I think like the one thing I try to tell people, because exercise is going to take some time. You're going to have a lot of soreness in the beginning and things like that, which is not the most motivating thing. But if you just change one thing, increasing the amount of water you drink, getting outside more often, getting more sunlight, those small little changes have incremental amounts of change that you're going to exhibit. Because exercise does take a little bit of time. But I tell you what, nothing's more motivating when you're using your belt and you're down another notch.
Right,
and you're down another notch. So you do see change, but I try to tell people that we work with, especially our patients and clients, focus on the foundational stuff, which is get more sun, fresh air, drink a lot more water, get your electrolytes in. Absolutely good quote.
Mm-hmm. John, what about you? What do you think about that quote?
Well, it's an interesting quote about where it says, once you see results, you do get into this certain addiction where mentally, once you're like when you first start doing something, you're kind of iffy about it until you see results. And once that result becomes a spark of interest, or a spark like a fire lit up from behind you, it becomes more of a confidence builder. And then that addiction starts to build in, where you start pushing towards that addiction, and then you get better at it and better at it. And the more results you see, the more confident mentally you're becoming.
I couldn't agree more with that. And what I see a lot of times is people give up before they see any result.
Correct.
So it's 2 weeks in, I've been eating salad for 2 weeks. I'm doing this. I'm walking on the treadmill every day. I'm not getting any results. I don't look like the girl on Shape magazine, right? Yeah. And well, it didn't take you 2 weeks to get where you're at, right? You got heavy over time, and that's usually what I see anyway when people start to kind of give up.
Right.
That's when you got to push through.
Of course, yeah.
But I couldn't agree more. I'm a runner. I do triathlons and stuff, and when I start to see the pace getting better, my heart rate dropping, these little things, like the doc was saying, incremental things. Oh my God, my heart rate was 3 beats less, and I did the same route and I ran the same pace. Well, I got fitter. That kind of propels me forward. And of course, seeing your body and the notch on your belt, and oh my God, these pants are huge on me, right? That kind of stuff. It's tremendous. It's absolutely tremendous.
Yeah.
So you told us how you got into fitness and why. How did that lead you to where you are now?
Okay, when I went to NPTI, it was a school basically on overall how to become a personal trainer. And they just, the topics that they touched on was just about everything you can possibly think of, where it was not just weightlifting and all the different types of weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting, bodybuilding, powerlifting, whatever it was, they touched on all those topics. But on top of that, they also try to teach you how to become a better coach with learning how to find things that people are doing wrong and how to correct them and stuff like that. And what led me to what I am doing now is in class, the teacher was doing kettlebells on her own. She was training with kettlebells. And she introduced kettlebells to us in class.
How long ago was this?
This was 2008.
Okay.
2008. And she had introduced it to us, and the guy that was training her was, his name was Greg Mihovic. He was based up in Red Bank in New Jersey. And he was doing seminars at the time of just kettlebells. And since we were in class, she gave us the opportunity to take the seminar for half the price because we were all students. So obviously everyone in class jumped on that opportunity, and we went to the seminar, and that one seminar is what got me 100% hooked into, like, I was like trying to realize like everything I've been doing was what was expected of me to do until I was introduced to kettlebells, and I was like, this is what I want to do. This is phenomenal. It's like the way I was feeling, the way it made me think, it was crazy. I loved it, and so that's when I started doing more and more kettlebell stuff. So after that first seminar, I did another 2 seminars, and then eventually he did a 2-day certification, which was Kettlebells and Bodyweight, and I took that and started my journey to getting here. And what happened was kettlebells during the 2008, 2009, nobody up here knew what they were.
Sure.
And everybody was so into the whole chain gym where they go to the gym, they use the machines, they use the barbells, and that was it. I was going to the gym, like let's say Wow Fitness or whatever, and there was no kettlebells around, so I was taking dumbbells and swinging them, or I was taking plates and swinging them, and just to get something out of it. And everyone was just looking at me weird, like, what is this guy doing? And I was like, I'm gonna hit somebody, but you know what? It's what I do, so. In class, there was a buddy of mine, Chris G. He was doing already kettlebells with the guy, Greg. So we started training together, and I got more and more hooked. So Chris G was living down by the shore in Red Bank, and I would go to his house every weekend to train. And we did just about everything, kettlebells. We were doing strongman stuff, pulling sleds, and you know, we're having fun. And then he was getting clients down by him, and I was trying to get clients up here. I wasn't getting anybody up here. Nobody was interested. So I kind of just slowly kind of gave up because, I mean, I could travel down to Central Jersey every weekend and do clients down there, but I couldn't afford to trying to keep going down there. So I kind of slowly kind of gave up on finding, clients and training people. So I kind of just trained by myself, but kind of just like taking it lay back. And long story short, when Jay first started Submit to Fitness in the old spot 8 years ago, he was renting the space, the warehouse. So he only had floor space at the time. And there was other classes going on. So they had a Zumba class right before Jay had his class. My wife was taking Zumba class. And she had told Jay that I teach kettlebells. I'm a kettlebell coach, whatever. So Jay was interested about it. He's like, oh, bring him in. I want to talk to him. And so when I came in, a week later, we talked, we hit it off, and he welcomed me with open arms, and he said, I want you part of this family. And in 8 years now, I'm still here, plugging away.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you were, they say you're early to the party.
Correct.
With kettlebells, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, I remember when I first started doing sports recovery, I actually went to a seminar, and there's a doctor named Rick Rosa, who's like the original recovery doc. And I remember I drove out to Long Island to go see the seminar. It was a 2-day seminar. Like an hour into it, I was like, this is exactly what I'm doing. Before I was doing like a regular chiropractic horseshit stuff. I mean, nobody ever gets better. And then I'm like, wow, this is what I want to do. Got on the phone, told my wife, I'm like, I finally found what I want to do. And this is after like 12 years of doing what I was doing. You know, I was kind of dipping my toes in doing sports recovery, but not to that extent. And then ever since then, that's all I've been doing. And just like you were saying too, nobody really knew what I was doing, or they couldn't. What's sports recovery? So first thing I did, I'm like, well, nobody knows about it. Let me trademark it. So I trademarked sports recovery specialist, and then I would drive because I had Tuesdays off. I was working for a doctor in Wayne, so I would drive down to North Brunswick. I would drive for an hour and 15 minutes to see one patient, and then drive back home. And I did that for like 2 or 3 months. And then I went to a Gold's Gym in Teterboro, where there was a sports performance place called ETS. And I told them, yeah, I work at a sports performance place down in North Brunswick. I have all these clients. They're like, well, you gotta come here too. So now I've worked in 2 places. Now I started marketing. I was working in 2 sports performance places. And then it just started to snowball. And now everybody does sports recovery.
Yep.
But yeah, totally.
John, this guy loves kettlebells.
Yeah.
He loves them.
Loves kettlebells. We actually have kettlebell contests.
We have kettlebell contests, but I can't swing a kettlebell like with him. I'm an endurance guy. This high intensity stuff doesn't go well with me.
You know, it's crazy about competition is that I've never done kettlebell competition because what I do is hard style kettlebell or Russian style kettlebell.
Yeah.
And the idea of competition was always American or sports style kettlebell.
Yeah.
And I didn't train in sports style kettlebell. I trained in hard style. So whenever someone would ask me, "Oh, did you ever compete?" And it's like, no, not really, because they don't really have hard style competitions. You know what I mean? So I never really tried looking into that. And I don't think there's one existing anyway, unless it was kind of a CrossFit based, where they had kettlebells in it. But again, like when it was just strictly kettlebells, I've never really competed in it.
CrossFit-based kettlebell work is completely different than what Pavel taught with his strong first.
Yeah, well, Pavel's style was originally meant for military soldiers to strengthen them, to battle harden them. You know what I mean? So the idea of hard style being in a competition was like, no, like it's meant to be a soldier, not an athlete.
And if people aren't familiar with Pavel, he's the gentleman who brought kettlebells to the U.S. And in order to get certified by him, you have to pass a entrance exam, a physical entrance exam, just to take a certification course. Which means you have to get a personal trainer who's certified in kettlebells to be able to actually pass the entrance exam. And not many people pass the entrance exam. It's not easy. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah. So John, what obstacles have you had or currently have?
Well, one of them was what I mentioned before about trying to get clients up here. That was the one obstacle. But now that I'm here, it's not really a big issue. One of the only other issues, or kind of maybe 2, but I have a more like an acute anxiety disorder, where I know you were talking about you have anxiety and all that stuff, but for me is when I get nervous or stressed out about something, I get nauseous. To a point where you will hear me coughing, even if I'm teaching class. If my class is a big class, 15 people, I'm fine teaching, but then you'll hear me coughing every now and then. And that's me trying to hold back that stress.
Oh, I got the guy for you, man.
Eventually, after maybe 15 minutes, it'll surpass, and I don't take medication for it. So the only way that I cope with it was to find a distraction.
Right.
But sometimes the anxiety does defeat me in certain ways, where I will feel like I'm not welcome anywhere, or I'll feel depressed. Not like a full depression.
You get into a loop and you just can't get out of that.
Correct.
Once you're in that loop, like when I had anxiety. And for the last 3 weeks, I've had no anxiety at all whatsoever. I went to a clinical hypnotist. He took me directly to my goal of getting rid of anxiety, and it was gone like that. But before, it's like, I feel nervous, but then it's like, if I got into that anxiety loop, it was a loop that I just couldn't get out of, and it would just build and build and build. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
For me, before I go to a race, whatever it is, and I run a lot, and even if it's a 5K, or I'm just going to do a 5K, I'll have that what did Larry call the other day? I'm focused.
Yeah.
I'm not anxious. I'm focused.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's all of these thoughts that go through my head. I want to do my best. You know, I may have trained for what. Let's talk about a marathon. I'm running a marathon in April. I'm solid 18 weeks of not missing a workout.
Right.
And you know, you get there and is everything ready to go right now?
Mm-hmm.
And once I get into that loop, I gotta find a porta john. So for me with that focus, I won't call it anxiety, but for that focus, for me, I don't get nauseous. I gotta go to the bathroom.
Right.
And it might be 2, 3, 4 times before a race, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, so I totally understand. I totally get it.
Yeah, but for me, the anxiety is that because I don't take medication for it. At first, when I was diagnosed for it, they just wanted to say, just take this, you'll feel better. And I was like, no, I don't want to take that because I don't want to be dependent on it. And what I found was finding distractions in that specific moment is what actually helps me overcome that. And an anxiety trip for me would be 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, and then it all of a sudden goes away, and then I'm good for that remainder of that time, you know? So for me, to find a distraction would be, you know, if I start to get nervous, I will look out the window. I'll see a Jeep or something. I was like, oh, that's a really cool Jeep. Or I'll just listen to a tune in my head. Something to keep my mind off of that.
We actually learned an interesting technique that if you just take a ball and you throw it from one hand to the other, and you watch while you do it, this way you hit the visual and the kinesthetic, and your anxiety goes away.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah, because you're distracted. You know,
Yeah.
You give your brain something to do
Yeah.
rather than building up. Yeah.
Get out of the loop.
Mm-hmm.
What are the benefits of kettlebell and or mace training?
Well, kettlebell, because it's...
John, hold on one second. Maybe we should explain what a mace is.
Okay. A mace is, well, if you go back for like thousands of years, mace was a weapon. All it was just a heavy ball on the end attached to a long stick, either a bamboo stick, wooden stick, or whatever it was. Even if it was a metal or steel stick. And what it is that because the weight is extended, it becomes more of a strength, like a more muscle recruitment workout where with your arms and your shoulders, everything is stabilizing. Because now when you're holding it outstretched, the weight's up here, the weight tends to move. And because of that, you're now forced to keep that steady and don't let it drop. So now that's, and that's just in traditional where they're just swinging the mace around, becomes a strength builder, has a nice good core strength and all that stuff. So
core.
yeah, and it really opens up the shoulders and stuff like that.
Lots of muscle recruitment.
Absolutely, yeah.
Absolutely.
Even the feet.
Right.
Stabilize the feet, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some balance gets involved, especially if you're holding this weight up over your head.
Correct. Yes. And it could be done with both hands together, or it could be done unilateral. You know, one mace on each hand, or just one mace on one hand. You know what I mean? So it's a really good tool for developing muscle recruitment, stability, and all that stuff. Now that training carries over for Olympic weightlifters when they do cleans and overhead presses. That mace training becomes already a foundation for that shoulder stability, and it helps tremendously in the Olympic weightlifting. Even if you do, even in CrossFit, right? If you're moving fast and you're pushing weight for time, mace training, kettlebell training actually helps stabilize those little muscles so that you can do that movement better.
Yeah, that's interesting. And for people that are watching, a mace kind of looks like almost like a microphone. You can
Correct,
picture,
yeah.
right? Much longer, right?
Mhm.
Much longer, but you know, it's got a ball on the top and then a long shaft.
Correct.
So, move away from the mace for a second. What about kettlebells?
Kettlebells, it's the same, almost the same principle where obviously there's no extended stick, right? So the bell has a handle. So it's just a heavy ball with a handle attached to it. And what it is the way you hold it, as opposed to a dumbbell where the dumbbell sits centered in your hand, the kettlebell sits off-centered from the wrist. And it sits on the outside of the wrist. So what that does is that if you're holding the kettlebell, if you're not engaged in holding it, the bell will take your arm out. So holding the bell automatically puts you in a forced stability, muscle recruitment. It forces you to hold it in. So when you're like pressing overhead, or you're swinging it around, or just holding it overhead, just holding it. If you're not recruiting muscles to keep that bell straight, it's going to take you out. It's going to either, you know, take your arm out, or you're going to twist your arm or something like that. But not to make it sound like a bad thing, but that's what it's doing. It's creating a stability foundation for that shoulder, for everything else working together.
It's forcing your body to find out, what do I need to do to prevent my shoulder from getting ripped off
Absolutely.
my body.
Thank you.
What's your favorite kettlebell movement? Because I do swings. I could do swings, and I do like kettlebell deadlifts.
My favorite that I do all the time are windmills.
Oh, I thought you could say Turkish get-up.
No, Turkish get-ups are fun too, but for me, the test of strength and flexibility, I do the windmill, and it's a fun movement because you can do it really slow, and you can do maybe 1 or 2 reps and still get like this feeling like you just did 20 reps.
Oh wow! So what I do is more functional strength, corrective exercise with the clients, patients that come into our office, and one of the things that I use it for, I love the bottoms up.
Correct. Yeah, those are fun.
It's tremendous, and you're able to quickly see such an imbalance and a shoulder shift, and people trying to, you know, kind of get their body stable. That, and I like having people just carry, you know, just carry it and make them keep their shoulders from, you know, kind of twisting side to side. I think they're tremendous.
The bottoms up? Yeah.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
What's crazy about bottoms up is that it's when people train with kettlebells, it's a lot of visual, because they teach you, they tell you when you're doing a movement, look at the bell so that you know where it's going. And what's really great about bottoms up is that try doing them blindfolded.
Interesting.
So do a bottoms up, let's say you're really good at it because you're looking at it. Once you take your vision out of the equation, it now becomes you're using your other senses to really feel where the weight's going. Once you have a handle on that, try walking with it blindfolded. Now it's a whole nother level. So.
And no visual acuity, no visual cues.
Correct.
All proprioception.
Be doing that next week, Doc, for sure. Yeah, that's interesting. And the other thing that I use them for, and I'm never looking to build power or not performance strength, more strength so that they are better, you know, trying to keep these people out of pain. I love it for a deadlift. You know, and the ones in the office, I think we go up to 45 or 50 pounds, not super heavy, you know. But
Kettlebell deadlift?
Kettlebell, yeah, and it works tremendously. You know, get that good hinge going for people. I personally train with them, not a ton, because I'm more endurance. You know, so I do things like.
If you're more endurance, you're gonna love the Mace.
Yeah, so after we're done with this podcast, I'm going to be put through a Mace workout. Kind of a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie.
It is fun. There's nothing to be nervous about. It's definitely fun. And if you've seen other people on YouTube videos or whatever doing Mace, a lot of it is either traditional Mace, where they're doing a lot of the swinging, or Mace Flow, which is kind of like poetry in motion, where you're moving. It's kind of like Tai Chi of Mace, the Mace Flow. But what I'm doing is more of the new breed Mace bell method, where you're throwing the weight around and using all 3 planes of motion.
Do you need high ceilings?
Maybe 10 foot.
All right.
You're good. So the idea of moving with the weight is where I get a kick out of the Mace training.
Right. That'd be interesting for sure. Doc, anything?
No, it's fantastic. Can't wait to see you do the Mace.
Awesome. Thank you. Yep. Thank you. John, how can people link up with you? How can they find you?
Find me, they can go to submittofitness.com, and all of our classes are listed there, mine as well. And we all have, I think on the website there's coach profiles, and you can see what we're doing and who we are. And the number is there. You can call Jay, which is the owner of Submit to Fitness, and talk to him, and then you can set up a class with me for like a free consultation or something like that. So.
All right, excellent. Anything you want to say in closing?
In closing, well, aside from saying thank you both for
Thank you.
This is my absolute first time doing podcasts, so thank you for this
Absolutely.
opportunity. Anything closing, I would say that the best thing I could say right now is for every person that's trying something new, if you believe that you can do it, you can do it. There are many members that I've taught, that I've been teaching the kettlebells and the mace, where they would say, oh, I can't do that. And I would always say to them, no one says you can't, you just don't know how. Once I teach you, by the end of the class, you could. And 100%, all the time, in the 8 years I've been doing this, every single one of them could.
Let me expand on that for 1 second, because this is my year of doing things that I really suck at. So I took up the ukulele, I took up the guitar. I'm trying to do things that make me uncomfortable, because that's what's going to make you grow as a person. When you're doing the same thing and you're good at it and you're efficient, there's no reward to it anymore. So this is my year of really doing a lot of things that I really suck at.
It's great.
Yep.
You grow that way.
Yeah, totally.
And what you said about people saying, you know, I can't. I'm reading a book and it's called The Brave Athlete, and they go into the monkey brain and the professor brain, and this monkey brain is constantly going and constantly giving us things like doubt and right. It's all day. It's all day.
Right,
and
right.
when you're doing, so let's talk specifically about this, like working out. The monkey brain's going saying, stop. This is hard.
This is ridiculous.
Right,
I'm not doing this.
I can't push another minute, and we got to hope that we can get out of the monkey brain and pull the professor brain in to tell us, no, you're okay. You got to push a little bit further, and you're gonna be good. But most people,
What book is this?
it's called The Brave Athlete.
Oh,
It's actually
awesome.
on the cover. It says, "Calm the fuck down."
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. And you know, I continue to keep reading and reading, and I'm super interested in it. But it's not easy. It's not easy to pull out of that monkey brain.
Right.
I was mentioning before the podcast, I did hot yoga this morning. And when you're in that pose and you want to quit and you want to get down in the child pose, you just lay on that mat, that monkey brain's talking. And it's going a mile a minute. And the professor brain's kind of just chilling in the back. And it takes a long time to pull that out.
Yeah.
But you're totally right. When you say, I can do it, or if you say, I cannot do it, both are right. Both are totally right.
And it's always at the end of that where when people say I can't do it, you show them a regression, and then you slowly ease them up to the point where they say they can, and all of a sudden they're doing it. I look at them there in their eyes and I said, nobody said you can't. You just did what you said you could not do.
That's exactly right.
And you did it. So.
And people have to realize too, you got to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And
I mean, even just walking. I mean, when you're a baby, you're walking and fall on your face. You know, your face shitting in your pants.
but you said it right, Doc. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah,
I
totally.
mean, it's that simple.
And there's also one thing that I wanted to mention as well, that's very important, that I kind of came up with an idea of how to explain the phrase, oh, I don't have time. You know that phrase, like, oh, I don't have time for this, I can't get to the gym, I don't have time. Well, I figured out a way that works for me. Is, yes, we have 24 hours in a day, right? Most of my day is in my day job, because I do graphic design during the day, so
Okay.
I sit at a desk pretty much the majority of my day. When I go home, I have 2 kids at home, I hang out with them, and before they go to bed, I'm hanging out with them, spending time with the family. When they go to bed is that time where I call the window of opportunity. So it's not like we don't have time, it's that you're not taking advantage of the window that you have.
You mean like
to
binge watching
squeeze in.
Netflix for like 3
Exactly.
hours a day?
So
Sitting on social media.
That is exactly
or
my
like
point.
people saying that like you're crazy running every day. Like you're running every day. Oh, you're watching Netflix every friggin' day.
That is
You're doing
exactly
more
my
harm
point.
to your body than I am by sitting on your ass all day.
That's exactly my point. It's
And I
like-
couldn't agree more.
And even at work, it's like on Friday I couldn't get a workout at home. I'm like, shit, what am I gonna do? Let me put a 40-pound kettlebell in the room. Every 15, 20 minutes, I'm gonna hit that kettlebell. I'm gonna do like 20 swings. It's not a lot of weight, not a lot of swings, but when you're doing it all day, it builds up.
And he literally does it all day.
Yeah.
Like, not even a joke. In between patients, he's back there. You hear him making those breaths.
And when I
Hey,
used to
I
wear,
did the
I used to
same
wear a
thing.
Fitbit, and I couldn't wear it because I also had when I had anxiety and wore a Fitbit, I need 14,000 steps. So I found myself walking around patients and like, what are you doing? I'm like, I need 14,000 steps. Day's almost done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely what I believe in now. That's kind of working for me, is finding that window of opportunity.
Sure.
So
It's-
don't sit and go on your social media and say, hey, I'm gonna unwind. I'm tired. Let me check the feed. Your window of opportunity is those 15, 20 minutes. Get it in, then go check your feed. You know what I mean? So I mean,
And-
there's no excuse.
That's
There's
the
always
number
time.
one, to my opinion, the number one excuse is I don't have time.
Mhm.
And all right, so you don't have time to go to the gym. I can understand that.
Put it
Get in
this
your
way.
car, drive there. I can understand
You
that.
don't have time to go to the gym, but guess what? You miss your opportunity to go to the gym.
Totally.
That's
But
what it is.
What gets me more is it takes the same amount of time when you're out to eat to order a cheeseburger deluxe as it does to order a salad.
Mhm.
And you're going food shopping, right? We all have to go. Somebody in our house is going food shopping. It takes time.
Right.
But why do we buy the shit food as opposed to the better food? That there's no excuse for that.
Correct.
Right? I don't have time. But you're in the store.
Yeah.
So
Make a better decision.
Make a better
That's-
decision.
Yeah.
Right? And
Sometimes you need someone to motivate you to make that better decision.
Totally.
You know what I mean? But
totally. When you want it, you go for it.
Mhm.
Very good. John, thank you so much.
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank
Much
you.
appreciated. If you'd like, you can subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and iTunes, and please share it with your friends or anyone who may be interested in our content. Until next time, train your brain, train your body.